Since the dawning of humankind, we have recognized that there is a difference amongst people. Some people will stand and fight in the face of adversity and challenges, while others will give up at the first sign of resistance. Some people will take ownership, while others will make excuses. Some people will be open-minded and constantly look to grow, change, and become stronger, while others will doggedly cling to the status quo and resist change at every turn of the road. However, it wasn't until recently that we understood why that difference existed. That difference is motivational intelligence. For thousands of years, philosophers have speculated about the existence of motivational intelligence. They've looked for that differentiating factor between individuals. However, it wasn't until 2016 that researchers at Harvard made an amazing discovery about the way our brain works. What they discovered is a neuron loop that connects the right and the left hemispheres of the brain to the oldest and most sophisticated aspect of the human mind. And with it, they discovered motivational intelligence. What our motivational intelligence is, it is our awareness and our ability to manage negative thoughts and self-limiting beliefs. These are the factors that hold us back as human beings. And when individuals have a higher level of motivational intelligence, they are less encumbered by negative thinking and self-limiting belief. Thus, they give themselves permission to succeed. They give themselves permission to open their mind, to practice things, to reflect, and ultimately to succeed. The study of neurobiology and cognitive psychology has shown us that as human beings, each of us has 3 different types of intelligence. Those different types of intelligence live in different portions of our human brain, and each of them serve us in a different way. The type of intelligence that most people are most familiar with is their IQ. IQ is a measure of our problem-solving ability and of our ability to internalize new information. For most people, IQ is not what holds them back in life. The second form of intelligence that we have is our emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence lives in the center part of our brain, our limbic brain. It is our awareness of our emotions and how our emotions are influencing our actions. Emotional intelligence serves us in that it helps us to build better relationships, to connect with other individuals, to have empathy that allows us to understand where other people are coming from. The third type of intelligence that we have is our motivational intelligence. It is the type of intelligence that lives in the reptilian aspect of our brain. It is the oldest and most evolved part of our brain. It exists as a survival mechanism. Without motivational intelligence, as a species, we never would have survived. Because our motivational intelligence defines our fight or flight mechanism. It defines whether we perceive things as opportunities or as threats in life. Based upon this perception dictates how we as human beings will respond to the things that we experience in our external environment. People who have a higher level of motivational intelligence, they perceive more opportunities in life, and thus they give themselves permission to go after those things. People with a lower level of motivational intelligence perceive more risks and threats in life. And thus, what they do is they avoid those things that are perceived as either a psychological or a physical threat. Thus, they don't give themselves permission to go out and practice things, to try new things, to have an open mind, or to give themselves permission to persist in the face of adversity and challenges. The most powerful thing to recognize about motivational intelligence has to do with how information flows into the human brain. You see, information, all sensory inputs, everything that we see, that we hear, that we smell, we taste, everything that we feel through our tactile senses, flows into the brain through three filters of the human mind. The first is motivational intelligence. Thus, the first thing that people perceive is this a threat or is this an opportunity? Once something is deemed as a threat or an opportunity, it next flows into our emotional intelligence, and an emotion is assigned to that perception. So how do I feel about this perceived threat? Am I fearful? Am I angry? Am I anxious about it? Or how do I feel about this opportunity? The last place that information flows is into the area of the brain where our IQ lives. Thus, our motivational intelligence is the triggering mechanism of the human mind. It influences both our emotional intelligence and even our IQ. Recently, researchers at Stanford University, led by Dr. Carol Dweck, did an amazing study about the power of MQ. What she and her research team did is they were studying motivational intelligence within students. As they were studying these students, what they found is that students operated under one of two motivational intelligence mindsets. The first mindset that they discovered is what they called a fixed mindset. Now, children who have fixed mindsets believe that they have fixed capabilities. They believe that things come easier for other students. They believe that others can learn things that they can't. Thus, they don't give themselves permission to practice things, and therefore they don't get better. Conversely, what her research team also found is that a second group of students possessed what she called a growth mindset. Now, children who had growth mindsets recognized that other students may be better in certain skills or aptitudes than they are. However, these students were less restricted by negative thinking and self-limiting beliefs. Thus, they believed that they could get better at those skills and those abilities. And thus, they gave themselves permission to practice, to work harder, to persist until they ultimately improved. These fixed and growth mindsets don't just exist within children. They exist within adults as well. In fact, you see a fixed mindset every time somebody is making an excuse, pointing fingers or placing blame, or rationalizing why goals and strategies can't be achieved. You see a fixed mindset when people have closed minds, when they're not listening, when they're risk averse, or when they're fighting feedback. You see a fixed mindset every time people encounter adversity and they get a negative attitude. You see it when you're trying to teach them new skills and abilities and they fail to practice them enough to truly get good at them. You see fixed mindsets when people fail to take the initiative, when they wait for somebody else to do things or fix things. You see a fixed mindset every time people are doggedly clinging to the status quo, trying to hold on to the legacy ways that they've always done things, and desperately trying to stay within their comfort zones. The single biggest challenge that we face in driving performance within our organizations is an outgrowth of these fixed mindsets. It's the low level of motivational intelligence, the negative thinking, and the self-limiting beliefs of those fixed mindsets that we battle against every day in our organizations. It is the enemy that holds our teams and our organizations back. This insight about us as human beings, about our motivational intelligence and how it has the power to unlock us, is not an entirely new idea. In fact, more than 2,000 years ago, Buddha said, "What you think, you become." The difference is, today, we can scientifically prove that it's true.